will terrorize
Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers, commentators, experts, and/or hosts. They do not explicitly or necessarily reflect nor represent the channel's policy or the views held by this channel or broadcaster. The broadcaster or its channel cannot be held accountable for all or any views expressed during this program.
It's just like Killer Cop 4, but she's got Hema instead of fry cook balls. I need you, Action Bastard. Action Bastard, I need you. Action Bastard, I need you. Why am I wasting time dancing?
You want to know why? Because the world is fucking flat, dog. And everything that you see up there, as far as like planets or stars, yeah, guess what, dude? It's fucking fake. It's just lights up there. The government put those lights up there so you dummies could just act like there's something up there.
Wait a second, are you a flat earther?
Call a crackhead.
You're stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're stupid. All right, folks, welcome to another crazy shite, and we're doing the Donner Party tragedy. When I went through Donner Pass with Skitsma Crasher, going to go see Mama at Flat Earth Pizza, when I said that the Donner Party Pass or the Donner Pass, a lot of people were like, huh? So I thought this would be a good chance to go over this, especially since we're in the spooky season and it is the Halloweens season, the Octobers. So I thought this would be a great time to go over this spooky subject. So let's go ahead and bring in our co-host and guests. And if there's anybody else who wants to join us on the stream here on the panel, either ask us in the Cinema chats or the Dissident Accords, and it is posted already in the Dissident Accords in the public thingies. I don't know, the regular chat. So anyways, let's bring in our host, and that is our...
But some people without brains do an awful lot of talking, don't they?
Yes, I guess you're right.
Yes, I guess you're...
Howdy,
How are you
howdy,
doing?
howdy. Cyborg talk, isn't it? Yeah, cyborg
Yeah, in
talk.
the cyber talk. Yep. It's very, very funny that they don't copyright claim us for using that. It must just be like just short enough that MGM does not copyright claim us for that clip. I'm so glad they don't, because I love that clip for
One
you.
of the
Although,
deadliest shows ever. With all the
yes, a
shit
lot of
that
people
they-
died during that movie for sure. Anyways, I thought we had a Dog Mouse, but he is gone, and I'm sure he's gonna come back.
Yeah,
and mention the blood,
but he was
things
also
and-
being stupid because he was driving. And,
Okay,
like,
well, sure. So whenever
Driving
he
and
gets
streaming is not a
home, we'll
good
get
combo.
to definitely. Let's say hello to Sudden Missions right quick, and then I'm going to play one music video, or yeah, one track, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of this because I really want to play this track. And since it is Halloween's season, this is a great track for that. Okay, well, let's do this right quick. He's still driving. Just make sure you're paying attention to driving.
Yeah, the phone's on the stand.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So let's get
kind
into
of acceptable, I think.
Let's get into. I usually do worse. Anyways, let's crack on. So let's say hello to Satire, and we have an Alleman.
Hey, Ollie, man.
Hi, Ollie.
We have a Stop the Stupid.
Hey,
Stupid.
stop.
We have a Captive Desk.
Desky. Whoop, whoop.
Dave.
A Victoria.
Hey, Victoria.
Hi, Victoria.
An Aaron Massa.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Eric. I've seen Eric for a while.
Yeah. A demon.
Hey,
and
Dubs.
Go ahead.
Oh, here we go. I'm driving, remember?
Yeah. So here's
You're the
their
one that
commercial.
decides to drive and stream?
I had to work, but the clocks went back an hour in the UK on Saturday, and so obviously the show went back an hour as well.
You're driving on the wrong side of the street, just to warn you. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I know. I said you're driving on the wrong side of the street, just to warn you.
Oh, right.
No, I know.
Okay.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be home in about 10 minutes, so
All right.
I'll be on my computer
So
then.
let's say hello to our channel sponsor, and that is our ouchie, that's gotta
Yeah, I'm going to say ouch. I didn't hear it or see it, obviously.
Yeah, so let's crack on, and I want to play this song for the Halloween seasons, and then we will get into the substance of what we have today, which is the Donner Party. So if you don't know anything about the Donner Party, awesome. We're going to fill you in all about it. And if you do know, hopefully, yes, we're going to fill you up. If you do know about it, hopefully we're going to give you some more information that maybe you've never heard of, or it's a revivification of what you were talking. Because in middle school, I think in the Americas, we totally learned about this in history class. This is one of those things that every American knows about because we all learned it in school. But let's crack on with this awesome song and music video. I feel like my computer just did something weird, but let's let it catch up. Let's see if that works. I don't know why it seems so small, but it's okay. Fuck it. Fuck it.
Oh, yeah.
Almost all Americans know about the Donner Party, but I can totally understand how the rest of the world would not know about it because it's like a small little thing of history, but it's insane once we go over all the details, especially what they did. Yeah, no, there's so much craziness that happened for this thing. Leading up to it, there were so many chances for them to not do these things, but let's crack on. And I'm going to speed it up just a tiny bit because fuck it. Thank you, Skit. That's what I said. The end is near. Survive in the sky. Bliss in zombie land. So most of the photos that you're seeing are taken at zombie crawls that have happened, I'm going to say around the world, but I think it's only Americas, but I'm not sure. But it's from zombie crawls. Most of these photos
Come on. When it's all around America. You always say all around the world anyway. So like,
well,
Commander?
I know. We have a commander. All right. Well, come in as soon as you get set up. And I'm trying the new circle thing. We're gonna try doing new formats and other formats over and over again, just to see what people like. And if you like something more than some of the other formats, let us know in the Saitama chats or on the Disima chords if you notice something that we do that's different. Because I'm trying to mix it up to make it feel like it's a little bit different. Discworld's Death would be genuinely confused about why this music is meant for him. Totally. Nazi zombies run! Somebody hacked into this, and this is in Austin, Texas. Somebody hacked into the sign and changed it to say that.
People doing stuff like that.
It's way easier to hack into those things than most people think. But hey, don't do it. Don't do it, you fucking weirdos.
Yeah, because people don't expect people to hack into it, so they don't protect it that much.
Yeah, of course. Exactly. And now they're like, oh, now we've got to get a safeguard on these silly things. And now they do. But yeah, before they figured out that they needed to put up these safe walls and yeah. The end is near. That's from the 1968 of the Living Dead film, I believe. I may have gotten a year or two off, but if I'm wrong, and somebody can correct me.
It sounds like one of yours.
This song? Oh, sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah, it sounds like one of yours.
This song?
Yeah.
Well, this is the same type of style of music.
I also thought that you'd be playing something from the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Ooh, that could be a thing. Although we're gonna get a copyright claim as a mug for that for sure. But this is one of the old zombie songs that we used to play at different zombie crawls because of what it says. In Zombieland. This in Zombieland. All right, we have a Tubian.
Hey, Tubian.
And we have an NANA. Welcome,
hey,
welcome. So if y'all want to know, this is Virus Cycle Alice in Zombie Land. So if you'd like to go show them some love and okay, I think that's who did it. I feel like the numbers that I just saw is not right, but yeah. Okay, all right, we get the gist, right? I mean, okay. So let's get into the goddamn click there, I guess. Okay. Into the meat and potatoes of what we're doing. We'll get into the slowness of it, and hopefully we have one or two other people to join us. If not, no worries of these. But I want to show part of this, and the only reason I don't want to show the whole thing is because we've been getting in trouble recently for showing full documentaries. So now I'm going to break them up and make it so that we don't watch their full thing, because if they keep on to be twats about that, then fuck you. I know, no, it's not them, it's YouTube. I still love you, YouTube. Do not demonetize us for everything. But anyways, let's crack on.
In May 1846,
Give me a second to where we get to. So we really how many people here do not know what about the Donner Party? On the panel.
Not me. I don't know much about it. I've heard of
Okay.
it, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, brainless. Anyways, everybody in the chat, put a 1 if you've heard of the Donner Party or at least know somewhat about it, and put a 2 and if you don't. We're going to try to go through this fast, but there's a lot of substance. There's still a lot of substance. So, okay, we got a 1. Hey, Tsunami.
Hey, Tsunami.
Good. You came in just to find out about this. Totally perfect. Awesome. Hey, Emos, welcome. Good to see you back. And NANA totally is being a punk and says 69, but I love that. I love it. So, what we'll do is we're not gonna get to the intro executively. Let's get into. Yeah, we'll have to do the intro. We'll have to do it, and then we'll get past this part, and we'll get into the first. We'll get into where the trouble begins. Yeah. I got it ready. We'll figure it out. So here we blow.
In 1846, a group of families set out for California in search of a better life. However, their journey took a tragic turn as they encountered brutal weather conditions, dwindling supplies, and unimaginable hardships along the way. Forced to resort to extreme measures for survival, including cannibalism, the Donner Party's ordeal became a symbol of resilience and desperation in the face of adversity. Despite the grim circumstances, this wild Western tale has captivated generations, serving as both a cautionary tale and a reminder of the enduring human will to survive. No.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so now, let's... Okay. There are people that don't know, so let's quickly get through the beginning, and then we'll get to where actual trouble starts. And then again, I have other things that are. Well, let's go this way. I keep forgetting that I know a crap ton about this, and other people don't. But let's go on with it.
Join us as we explore the untold details and the lasting legacy of this unforgettable chapter in American frontier history. This is the real story of the Donner Party.
And I'm going to use some of this and some from other things because, once again, I don't want to have to take down my goddamn stream because somebody copyright claims the whole thing.
In the 1840s, many people from the eastern United States decided to move to the Oregon Territory or California. These places were hard to reach, requiring either a very long boat trip or a tough journey across the American wilderness. Some, like Patrick Breen, wanted to live in a place where everyone shared their Catholic beliefs. Others were drawn by the chance to make money out west, or by the idea that it was their destiny as Americans to settle the land between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Most people traveled in groups known as wagon trains, starting in Independence, Missouri. They traveled about 15 miles a day, taking 4 to 6 months.
I mean, if you're already starting in misery, you know the rest of your life is going to suck. I'm just kidding. Misery is okay, an okay place.
To reach their destination. The route followed rivers to a pass in the Rocky Mountains called South Pass, which was easier for
Okay, I'll just let them explain.
After that, they had different ways to go. One man named Lansford Hastings wrote a book called The Emigrant's Guide to Oregon and California to help people go west. He suggested a faster way through the Great Basin, even though it was longer. He hadn't even tried this route himself until in 1846, when he went from California to Fort Bridger in Wyoming. He stayed at the fort to convince others to take his shortcut. One of the hardest parts of the journey was the last 100 miles across the Sierra Nevada mountains.
Yeah, and so this was a very, very new way to go. Douche Nozzle technically went through it, but he didn't until he went to go find the settlers. Anyways, we'll get into it. I'm just trying to break this up more so that hopefully we do not get claimed. But let's listen to the insanity that happened for this. It literally was like dudes were making like booklet maps back in the day for routes to get to places before there were highways and real roads. And like at one point in time in the Americas, there was like 200 companies that were putting up road signs. So as you were traveling through these dirt roads, you would have to look up a tree or up a pole to all the different road signs. And when you had a roadside a map to get to places, it told you the right number for the freeway or exit or whatever from that company. So if for some reason another company came over and like took down the sign, now you're never going to see the sign and you're just going to go whichever way that it seems more logical. And like, dude, there was some weird, tricky ass shit going on in the old Pioneer and Old West days for traveling.
These mountains have many peaks over 12,000 feet high, and they get a lot of snow. The eastern side of the mountains is very steep. Timing was crucial for travelers to avoid getting stuck in mud or snowdrifts. They also needed to make sure.
Yeah, I played this video game a gazillion and a half times in the early 1990s on the very ghetto-esque computers that we had in the classroom. Yeah, that shit was crazy. But a lot of it actually is true because certain things happened over a river and then like the game gets close to like what happened during this thing.
That there was enough grass for their animals to eat. George Donner, originally from North Carolina, moved gradually westward to Kentucky, Indiana, and Illinois, with a short stay in Texas. By early 1846, he was around 60 years old and lived near Springfield, Illinois. His family included his 44-year-old wife, Tamsin, their 3 daughters, Frances, Georgia, and Elizabeth.
Okay, so he's 66, right? Is that what we heard? She's 46. That's a big ass
44.
age.
That's
44,
still on the screen.
Yeah.
She's 44.
Yeah. But it was 1948, I believe, that she was born, and he was 1966. That's a huge gap, even though I know I get it back in the day, and I understand. I get it, and age doesn't matter per se, but it's just funny to look at ages.
Hey.
Eliza, as well as George's daughters from the previous.
I know.
Relationship with a
Martha
bigger difference. Someone in their 30s and
yeah,
in his 60s. So
I dated a lady who changed my diapers while she babysat me. So I mean, I know. I just think it's funny sometimes to see some of these when we're talking about like the old world, where they're like, get her pregnant while she's ready to get pregnant, and that kind of propaganda that we're seeing now in the Americas, like with Project 2025.
Propaganda.
What's the best time to get her pregnant and to make sure she can't get an abortion? When she's 14 years, never mind.
Well,
Anyways,
yeah, when she doesn't understand
she's
the world
in her
yet.
prime. Yeah, of course. Yeah, exactly, Emily. So let's crack on.
George's younger brother, Jacob, aged 56, also joined the group with his wife, Elizabeth, stepsons Solomon and William Hook, and 5 children: George, Mary, Isaac, Louis, and Samuel. They were accompanied by Teamsters Hiram Miller, Samuel
that
Shoemaker,
their identities get protected, so that's why they blurred out their faces.
Yeah, because 200 years ago. Never mind. But yeah,
Noah James, Charles Berger, John Denton, and
Charles Berger. I mean, who wouldn't want to eat him? Never mind. God damn it! I said that before we got.
Don't want to eat his ass. Oh,
Spitzer.
Well, there's also Angus. Oh no, it's Angus. But I feel like that's an Angus. But never mind.
James F. Reed, who migrated from Ireland to Illinois.
And his name is Spitzer James. I mean, who doesn't? Never mind. God damn,
during childhood.
This is just a running joke already.
45 years old at the time.
Yeah.
His family included his wife Margaret, stepdaughter Virginia, daughter Martha Jane, or Patty as she was better known, sons James and Thomas, and Margaret's mother, Sarah Keyes, who was very ill with tuberculosis. Reed hoped California's climate would benefit Margaret's health, who was perpetually ill herself. The Reeds hired 3 men to drive the ox teams: Milford Milt Elliott, James Smith, and Walter Heron. Bayless Williams also joined as a handyman, with his sister Eliza serving as the family's cook. Although both the Reeds and the Donners were known in their community, it's uncertain how well they knew each other. Virginia Reed later mentioned that she had never met the Donner children before their journey. The elders of the Reed and Donner clan didn't share much in common regarding age, background, occupation, or personality. Their decision to travel together might have been due to convenience rather than a deep friendship. Interestingly, neither the Donners nor the Reeds mentioned each other in their letters home. In total, there were 34 people at the start of the journey. Each family had 3 covered wagons, and they hired teamsters to drive the oxen that pulled them, along with some other helpers. Their first destination was Independence, where the Oregon Trail started.
Okay, well, just
the distance from Springfield to Independence.
Well, let's go ahead and let's look into. Let's see. Where we actually get into where the okay, we can I don't know.
Yeah, what?
Let's go ahead and see about when the trouble begins. And then if it gets boring, then we'll go ahead and get to the where stuff. But I want to walk us all through the journey of this. You know,
from
what I'm
August
saying?
1st to
Because
August 5th,
it's crazy.
the Donner Party initially made promising progress, efficiently following the tracks left by the group led by Hastings. However, when they veered southward to embark on Hastings Cutoff, they encountered terrain significantly more rugged and treacherous than anticipated. The landscape proved to be a formidable obstacle, with steep inclines.
So the route they were going was not even made for people to walk over. So now they were trying to get wagons across this terrain,
forcing wagon drivers to resort to desperate measures, such as locking their wagon wheels to prevent dangerous accidents. Unlike the well-defined and established Oregon Trail, Hastings Cutoff presented a more challenging and less defined path, making navigation considerably more difficult for the party. Despite the assurances from Hastings, the reality of the terrain was much harsher. The party found themselves traversing through unforgiving canyons and facing numerous obstacles, such as boulders blocking their path and dangerously steep descents. This made it apparent that Hastings Cutoff was not the straightforward and manageable route that they had been led to believe. Hastings had left written instructions and messages attached to trees along the trail, intended to guide and assist travelers. However, on August 6th, the party stumbled upon a letter from Hastings advising them to halt their progress until he could personally lead them through the alternate route, different from the one taken by the Harlan Young party. This unexpected development forced the party to reassess their situation and consider their options for the journey ahead.
And then what did they do?
James Reed, Charles T. Stanton, and William Pike ventured ahead in search of Hastings to seek further guidance. However, their journey was fraught with challenges as well, as they encountered impassable canyons and obstacles that hindered their progress. Despite Hastings' initial offer to guide them through the difficult terrain, he provided only partial assistance before turning back, leaving the party to navigate the rugged landscape on their own.
Jesus.
Meanwhile, the Graves family, who had embarked on a mission to locate the Donner Party, eventually caught up with them. Their arrival swelled the ranks of the party to 87 members, traveling
87 members
in 60 to 80 wagons.
60 to 80 wagons.
Back at the main
that's
party,
more than a
Reed
DP. Oh.
Yeah, no, totally.
blazed a trail to lead them back, with the company opting to follow his route instead of retracing their steps to Fort Bridger. However, progress was slow, with the party advancing at a rate of only about 1.5 miles per day.
1.5 miles per day, but listen to what normal travelers would go with wagons.
The men toiled tirelessly, clearing brush, felling trees, and removing rocks.
Okay, maybe later in one of the other videos, they're going to talk about it's like 15 miles a day, and they were going 1.5 miles a day.
To make way for the wagons as they pressed forward through the rugged terrain. By August 20th, the party reached a vantage point in the mountains, offering a breathtaking view of the vast expanse of the Great Salt Lake below.
Yeah, but it's beautiful, but you're fucked trying to go over it.
Later, on August 22nd, they descended into Salt Lake Valley via Emigration Canyon, having followed the route provided by East Canyon from the Weber River. Despite their continued progress, they still faced a daunting journey ahead, with approximately 600 miles remaining and only a month of summer left. As the days wore on, tensions within the group began to mount. Stanton and Pike, having accompanied Reed on his journey, became lost on their return to the group, nearly resorting to consuming their horses before eventually being reunited with the party. Tragically, on August 25th,
we'll get to
Luke
that.
Halloran succumbed to tuberculosis himself, making a solemn moment for the travelers. His burial served as a somber reminder of the harsh realities of their journey and the toll it was taking on their group. As they pressed onward, the party encountered further challenges, including a 2-day journey through barren and inhospitable terrain, as warned by Hastings. They prepared as best they could, gathering water and grass, before embarking on the arduous trek. However, the harsh conditions proved relentless, with scorching temperatures during the day.
Yeah, when you go into the desert, it's insane comparatively to where you've been in the east and through everything you've been through so far.
And freezing temperatures at night, taking a toll on both the travelers and the resources. By August 30th, the party found themselves facing the most grueling leg of their journey yet. Traversing a 1,000-foot mountain, they emerged to confront a vast, desolate salt flat stretching out before them.
That sucks.
The landscape was unforgiving, with the parched earth and scorching sun presenting formidable challenges. The moisture trapped beneath the salt crust seeped upward,
that's true,
transforming the ground into a sticky, adhesive mass. Despite their best efforts, the party's water supply dwindled rapidly, forcing some members to venture ahead on foot in search of additional water resources. The days that followed were fraught with hardship and despair, as the party struggled to navigate the unforgiving terrain. Some of the animals, weakened by exhaustion and thirst, were left behind, while others bolted in a frantic bid for survival. Ultimately, the journey across the Great Salt Lake Desert proved to be a harrowing ordeal, lasting 6 days instead of the anticipated 2. By September 8th, the travelers completed a challenging 5-day journey across the 80-mile desert, which was initially believed to be half its actual width, according to Hastings. Disillusioned by the difficult trek, none of the party members trusted Hastings' cutoff anymore.
Yes, so okay, let's get into...
Oh shit, Sherlock!
Let's get into...
This reminds me of a game from years and years ago. I think it was called the...
it is the game. It is that game.
Trail.
The westward expansion.
You always died.
No, it is that game.
Or poisoning or whatever.
No, everything about the Donner Party that you're going to hear is exactly how they made Oregon Trail. Even though they didn't go through the Oregon Trail, pretty much everything. So let's get through. Let's start this. I'm going to grab another beer. I'll be right back in seconds. But here is where the downfall started happening, because they were getting there. But here is a more condensed version of what happened, or more explanation. So we'll give you more information of what's going on. So here we go. I'll be right back.
Expansion around the time of the California Gold Rush saw a gaggle of pioneers and immigrants moving out west to seek a better life. But the most infamous of these, the Donner Party, ended in people eating other people, and is often known as the most gruesome tale of westward travel lore. So what went wrong exactly? Well, pretty much everything. Today we're taking a look at what went wrong with the Donner Party. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to the Weird History channel and let us know what friend or family member you would eat in a pinch. Now uncover those eyes. It's about to get disastrous.
That's where Donner meat comes from.
Doner kebab.
April was considered the prime time to make the trek west, specifically mid-April, when the weather conditions were more favorable for long wagon-based travelers. Leaving around that time meant missing the springtime muddy terrain, unfavorable for wheels, while also avoiding wintertime in the mountains and passing through before winter's chilly arrival. It also meant the grass on the plains was high enough to provide food for the cattle should they start feeling peckish.
Hey, Al. Hell, Al. Yeah, so exactly. So for one, they started too late, and then we'll get into all the 5 other things these dumbasses fucking did, or at least the head of all these things did, that they should have known was gonna fucking kill them all. I mean, honestly, how much did you need to get there? I get that one of their wives had TB, and he wanted to get to her to blah blah blah. But you know what? Do we need ketchup? I mean, it matters on what you want to slather it on there, Al. Anyway, let's crack on.
Once the snow hit the ground, crossing a snowy landscape was a dicey and slow process at best, and desperately eating your human travel companions at absolute worst. The Donner Party hit the road on May 12th, about a month later than desirable, for reasons unknown.
Well, there were arguments about who was going to lead it, and they were supposed to have somebody who was going to lead it and be their what's-it-called. And then... Hey, how are you doing, Commander?
Hey, Commander.
All right. Hopefully everything's okay and the noise gate in the background is okay. I hope it's not doing weird things.
You sound fine so far.
Yeah.
So let's crack on and see about the Kansas stuff.
The Donner Party, led by wealthy brothers George and Jacob Donner and their Irish immigrant pal James Reed, found themselves in trouble fairly quickly into the journey. They ended up on the wrong side of the Big Blue River, which runs through parts of Nebraska and Kansas. On May 26, 1846, the Donner Party reached the river, which, because of a recent heavy rain, raised the water by 20 feet, making it extra difficult to pass. They spent a few...
So if you're playing Oregon Trail, the game from 1984, whatever it is, that's why they have the river part in there, is because this happened to the Donner Party.
2 days chilling on the banks of the river, building rafts to carry their wagons and belongings safely across. This process should sound familiar.
Yeah, so it was going to reference it right now. The Oregon Trail game from the first PC or whatever, so here we go.
Familiar to all those who played the Oregon Trail. Unfortunately for Sarah Keyes, the choice to wait it out and build some rafts proved fatal for her. She succumbed to tuberculosis on May 29th.
I don't think that she had a chance anyways. I don't think that she got TB because they didn't get across the river. But anyways, that's part of the game.
Days later, the Big Blue River has subsided enough to allow the group to pass with no...
she didn't get help in time.
I don't remember the
Well, they
part
weren't getting-
where you ate her.
TB is usually fatal. Tuberculosis is consumption.
Yeah.
What did we learn from Red Dead Redemption story mode? TB will take you over. TB will kill you. So again, I don't think that was part of why that happened, but it was really interesting how they had that a part of the game because it doesn't really mean anything. But anyways, let's crack on.
Further casualties or sudden cases of dysentery. Before leaving for any road trip, it's always important to assess the food situation, which unfortunately didn't seem to be a priority to the Donner clan, or at least not as high of a priority as storage for the things. They left Independence, Missouri with only enough food to tide them over for 4 months, which, had everything gone according to plan, would have been enough for the average trek to California, if not a little scarce towards the tail end of the journey. With a limited space available in the covered wagons and a weight capacity to account for, the Donners packed light with only 150 pounds of flour and 75 pounds of meat for each person traveling. Their rations also included rice, beans, and cornmeal to have more variety and balance in their daily.
I mean, I'm totally going to beat more than meat than just 75 pounds for my... Never mind. That's completely different. We'll talk about that later.
Meals, something that later became less of a priority for the starving travelers.
I agree.
And they let a lot of their things run away. Let's put it that way. Like a lot of animals just... They didn't have a good reining in on what they were doing or what they were trying to accomplish because of so much weird, crazy shit they were going through. But like, they let too many sheep get away. They let a bunch of other animals get away, horses and stuff. And we'll get into what animals were left, which is hilariously silly. Yeah,
Because
I know.
If you bring animals, that doesn't take up storage space. You can even use them as storage space.
Yeah, you can fill them with
you just
stuff.
Yeah.
fill them with seed and then eat them later. Animals are tasty. People eat tasty animals.
Yeah. The problem is they didn't have them like tied to things. And so when they got freaked out, they ran away into the bushes or into the woods, and they were like, well, we can't actually go look for it because there were... Anyways, that's part of it. But let's get into what they were warned about for the route that's never been tested.
By late June, the Donner Party had finally reached Fort Laramie, Wyoming, over a week behind schedule. While at the fort, they were warned several times about the new Hastings.
And Laramie, Wyoming is 2 hours north of me. An hour north of me? I don't know. It's right there. It's up just up the road right there.
Cutoff route. This shortcut would lop off about 300 miles from other traditional paths, but it was not the easy breezy shortcut they were being sold. One man, James Kleiman, recently returned from the Hastings cutoff with Lansford Hastings himself and reported back to James Reed that the road was barely passable by foot and with covered wagons.
Barely passable by foot.
Kleiman said it would be impossible. Kleiman suggested the Donners stick to the conventional route.
Okay, so Colorado's way back over here, up here. But now Salt Lake City, and then Donner Springs is right here, and that's where we went through. And of course, it wasn't called that at the time, but that's where this is now. So they were right here at the time. Wait. Hold on. No, that's not right. But anyways, instead of going through, maybe they did this route. Anyways, they'll talk about it. No, I thought it was this route. I thought it was this very, very bottom route because that's where they got into so much. I don't know.
Well, if they were looking to shave miles off, then they took the shorter one, but it was not passable. He's right.
I don't know. Anyways, let's crack on.
With the Hastings cutoff. Unfortunately for several members of the later digested party, this advice was ignored, and the party rolled the dice with the path less traveled, the Hastings cutoff.
Okay. Yes, and they got their information from, like I said, there were all these companies that were making map guides to different places during this time in the Midwest and West, because everybody knew all the things about like the East Coast, right? I mean, like there was already the streets and everything was developed there. But in the Midwest and the West, there was not. And so there was all these different companies that were trying to give you different versions that are guidebooks to get to different destinations. And so that's what happened is this douche nozzle gave them a guidebook that told them that he knew that they could get through here, even though multiple times we've already heard, they said that it was not passable.
I just
Speaking of Lansford Hastings, boy, did this guy kind of suck. Hastings claimed to
what?
Oh, saying hi to Jasper. That was okay.
Discovered a new route to California.
Jasper.
Hey, Jasper. So this is the guidebook that they went with.
He went so far as to boldly publish a guidebook, Lansford Hastings Emigrant's Guide, that included his cool new shortcut, humbly named Hastings Cutoff, which allegedly made the journey faster since it was the most direct route to California. Hastings, who was the California Tourist Bureau of his time, was one of the people responsible for making the move out west to California popular for settlers.
So he was the head of the Tourist Bureau. So instead of him telling people how to actually like get there, he told motherfuckers to go into a place where they should not go, just because he wanted to make a name for himself making this booklet because he was the head of the tourist, blah, blah. Anyways.
There was just one teensy little problem. Hastings had never actually traveled the path he named after himself until after his guidebook became popular. He was one of only 2 men documented to have taken the route, neither of whom tested the path with covered wagons. To promote this poorly researched guidebook, Hastings offered to lead a group of travelers through the Hastings Cutoff. He wrote a letter to the Donner Party with a pitch to travel with the Hastings of Hastings Guidebook and Cutoff fame. Unable to pass up this generous offer, the Donner Party planned on meeting Hastings at Fort Bridger, but with their 2 weeks lag time, their paths never crossed. Hastings' letter, however, was so confident and convincing, they soldiered on without him, guideless through an unproven path to the West Coast. What could possibly go wrong?
All right. So now let's, just because I want to break this up.
What could possibly...
Most people...
So what could possibly go wrong is someone who drives a truck. There's actually tons of people who get taken to the place where I work through the back road, and it's a miracle we actually get through in one piece. But we're right next to a highway.
Yeah.
I hope my audio isn't fucking up. My computer is
It is a little...
in
It's a little broken, but that's okay. But let's see where we get to where the problems really, really start. And I hope that I got to the right point.
Reliable guidebook. Lansford Hastings was an ambitious promoter of a new route to California, claiming he had discovered a path that would make the journey to the West Coast faster and easier. He detailed this route, known as the Hastings Cutoff, in his guidebook, Lansford Hastings Emigrant's Guide. Hastings was a key figure in popularizing California as a destination for settlers, driven by a desire to increase American influence in the region and reduce Mexican control. The issue with Hastings' claims, however, was
Goddamn
significant.
Mexicans.
He had
I'm
never
just
actually
kidding.
traveled the
You too.
Hastings cutoff himself before recommending it. His lack of first-hand experience with the route led to a dangerous overestimation of its viability. This gap in his knowledge earned him a dubious reputation, with one survivor of the Donner Party famously calling him the Baron Munchausen of travelers, referencing the fictional character known for telling exaggerated tales. To boost the credibility of his guidebook, Hastings offered to personally guide immigrants through his new route. He sent a letter to the Donner Party inviting them to meet him at Fort Bridger, where he promised to lead them along the cutoff. When the Donner Party reached Fort Bridger, they were 2 weeks late, missing the opportunity to travel with Hastings. Despite this setback, Hastings' persuasive letter gave the group enough confidence to attempt the unproven route on their own. The decision to follow Hastings' untested path would have far-reaching consequences. The Hastings cutoff added significant difficulties to their journey, including rough terrain and unexpected delays, which ultimately contributed to the hardships that the Donner Party would face later on. They ignored warnings about an untested new route. In late June, the Donner a risky shortcut. Unfortunately, none of Brian's letters ever reached the Donner Party. This communication failure would later lead to suspicions and accusations. Both Brian and James Reed, a leader of the Donner Party, suspected that Jim Bridger, who operated a trading post at Fort Bridger, may have deliberately intercepted the letters. Bridger was known for promoting the Hastings cutoff, as it brought more travelers to his trading post. By keeping Brian's warnings from reaching the Donner Party, Bridger may have influenced their decision to take the untested route, prioritizing his own interests over the well-being of the settlers. This situation highlights the significant impact that missing information and miscommunication could have during.
This is the old school misinformation. The first interwebs. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait. So an American company owner prioritized
misinformed. Money.
Getting money over people's safety. Nah, don't believe that.
No.
That's not anything that happens in America.
We've never heard of that, especially the guy who's trying to sell this.
Shit like this happens all the time. I think America was the first country for a class action lawsuit because of it. I'm not sure about that, but it would make sense.
Yes, and no, totally. I think we're the first scam artist country. Let's put it that way.
During such perilous journeys, the lack of Brian's critical advice contributed to the series of unfortunate events that the Donner Party would soon face. They continued to accept more migrants. Throughout their journey, the Donner Party continued to take on additional members.
Now they only plan for that many. Yeah, they only plan for that many people to have that much food, water, and the animals, and then they brought on extra people. So let's crack on.
In July, while at Fort Bridger in present-day Wyoming, they were joined by more immigrants. Later in August, as they struggled to clear a path through the rugged terrain of the Wasatch Mountains, they were joined by the Graves family and their group. By this stage of the expedition, the number of people traveling with the Donner Party had grown to 87.
87.
This increase in their numbers further strained their already limited food supplies and other resources. The addition of more travelers, while initially seen as a way to strengthen the group, ended up compounding the challenges they faced. The scarcity of provisions meant that the increased group size put additional pressure on their ability to sustain themselves, making their journey even more precarious. They chose to go without a guide. When the Donner Party reached the Wasatch Mountains, which were situated just before the
You should have never done that in the first place.
Great Salt Lake portion of the Hastings cutoff route, they discovered a note affixed to a wooden stake. This note was written by Lansford Hastings himself and advised against taking his proposed route. Hastings warned that the road ahead was particularly challenging and suggested that it would be unwise to proceed. He offered to meet the group and guide them along a safer alternative. Despite their growing concerns about further delays,
this is the second time that he is offered to meet them to take them on a different route.
Donner Party and the accompanying groups decided to wait for Hastings, hoping that his guidance would improve their situation. They waited for 8 days, but Hastings did not arrive as promised.
Yeah, so they waited 8 days for him to go to where he asked. And
in response, James Reed and 2 other members of the party were sent to locate him. When Reed finally found Hastings, he was shown a different route through the Wasatch Mountains. Hastings assured Reed that this new path would be more manageable. Unfortunately, Reed's companions became lost during the search and were eventually found in a dire state, having even considered consuming their horses due to their desperate situation. The new route, however, proved to be problematic. It was obstructed by dense trees and other obstacles, which required significant clearing to allow the wagons to pass through. This additional effort.
So fallen trees had gone over the path, and they had to move them or cut them up to get them off
even
the
if
path.
they're like not even fallen trees, but just trees. Like if you go there by foot, that's not that hard. But like if you can walk around all the trees, but if you got wagons with you, you got a lot of trees, then like yeah, you probably have to clear some to get past because you might not be able to get through some of the trees.
And how often do you have to try to like flatten the land? Because that was one of the other reasons why they were going 1.5 miles a day sometimes. Because if you have a washout, you can't just let the horses and oxen, sheep, and other things go over it, especially with 1,000 pounds on it, let's just say. And the horses are what, 600 pounds or something like that. So there's so many other things you have to do to make sure that you can get through these things.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're exploding things with dynamite or anything. I never heard anything, but making a path is a lot harder than you think if you are trying to do this, because none of us have ever had to walk through a fallen path or anything like that. I mean, I have doing some of the traveling. I'm guessing maybe there's probably people that know what the fuck I'm talking about, and I'm sure that they have. But most humans have no idea what it's like to not have a EV vehicle path for them to just drive through. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's crack on.
Effort extended their journey even further. At its most challenging point, the party's progress was reduced to a mere 1.5 miles per day.
See, again, I remember numbers even. Anyways.
Compounding their delays and hardships. The difficulties faced on this route illustrated the severe impact of navigating untested paths during their arduous journey west. Crossing the desert. The Donner Party members were unprepared for the harsh conditions of the desert near the Great Salt Lake. As they attempted to cross,
we're going to go over this right quick, and then we'll get into the winter 4 months.
The sand caused significant problems for their wagons. The wheels frequently got stuck, making it difficult for the wagons to move and drastically slowing their...
Yeah, sand collapses into around itself. When we were going to a rave and 29 Palms are around there, my ex-girlfriend, she had a low-rider Honda, and for some reason we decided to take that out into the middle of buttfuck nowhere in the desert. I had to unbury it out of the fucking sand 4 times, and then I'm standing there and I'm like I don't know what else to do. I was about to give up and just walk into the desert and hopefully die, because I had no idea what else to do at that point.
You know what we say to that?
What?
You dumbass.
Exactly. But anyways, as I'm sitting here contemplating just walking into the desert, all of a sudden everything starts shaking, and I'm like, is this a heart attack? Is this what a stroke is like? I'm like, what the fuck is I'm dying, right? I'm totally dying from this. I look over and the bushes, everything are rocking and hitting the ground and going back up. They're rolling feet up and down. And I look at my feet and I'm just riding a sand wave. And I look over at the car and it's just sinking further and further and further into the goddamn motherfucking sand. And I'm just yep, we're dying out here. I'm literally, we're trying to get to this rave out in the middle of nowhere, and we're literally going to die in the middle of nowhere, 29 Palms.
Oops.
An 8 point something earthquake happened 10 miles away from where we were. Luckily, people drove up, helped us pull the car out of the fucking ravine that we accidentally got stuck in because we were trying to follow the trail, but we went into a ravine instead, and that's why it was soft sand. And we kept anyways. And then we ended up digging other people out for the next fucking 10 hours. We finally got to the fucking rave. Woo! But anyways, sand is like water I mean, you'll sink in it really easy, especially with just with weight, with a lot of weight in these wagons. Yeah.
Yeah, and if there's a bit of movement in the
This
sand,
struggle in the
yeah.
desert also strained.
I mean, yeah, every time you like do it in the sand, you're gonna. Anyways, all right.
Their water supplies. The dry, arid air required them to consume more water than they had initially planned, depleting their.
Yeah, no, when you're in the desert, you're definitely going to be fucking. Yeah, you're gonna need water for sure.
Reserves more quickly than expected. Some of their oxen became too exhausted to continue and had to be abandoned, while others escaped, adding to their losses. These challenges highlighted the risks of taking an untested route. If the Donner Party had chosen one of the established, well-traveled paths to California,
they would have been golden. They would have been okay.
They might have avoided these difficulties. The experience in the desert underscored the importance of preparation.
If you have oxen with you that can't go on anymore, like, why don't you use them for food? Also running low on food.
And if they stuck to the road, they could have pulled into a McDonald's drive-through or something.
Yeah, hey, Captain.
Hey, Captain. And we have a hive science too.
Yeah, well, I said hi to Bree.
How's recovery going, Captain?
Yeah, and yes, it's crazy they made it to the Nevada, California border before this, and so we're gonna let them talk about this before the split, and then we'll talk about the 4 months of horribleness
And the dangers of venturing into unknown and difficult terrain without adequate planning. They were torn apart by infighting. From the outset of their journey, the Donner Party was plagued by internal divisions, which created rival factions within the group. The first major split occurred in July 1846, when most of the wagon train decided to take the traditional, safer route, leaving a smaller group to attempt the unproven Hastings cutoff.
So now is the split that happened, so now it's only a small portion of people that are going to try the unproven route.
I'm just wondering if Red Dead Redemption did base their story on this.
Yes, there is part of the lore that is added into Red Dead Redemption story mode and also online. So, yeah. Yes. And I actually went through there. It was really trippy. When I went to go visit Skits and Mama and go meet all the people at Flat Earth Pizza, we drove through Donner Pass and the Donner town and other things. And I was like, oh my Jeebus, I didn't realize it was this close to the coast. Like they were almost there. They were so close. They were so close, but they just needed to go over one mountaintop to get to safety. They literally were this close. It's insane how close they needed to be. Yeah, like you said, 20 miles, they would have been in a place that would have been safe. So it's crazy. So let's crack on.
When difficulties arose in the Wasatch Mountains, the group that took the cutoff began blaming James Reed for promoting the new path. As the journey became increasingly difficult, tensions within the group escalated. On October 5th, near Iron Point, a confrontation occurred when two wagons became entangled. John Snyder, the teamster of one of the wagons, began whipping his oxen to urge them forward. James Reed, angered by Snyder's treatment of the animals, demanded that he stop. When Snyder refused, Reed intervened by grabbing a knife and stabbing Snyder, resulting in his death.
That's right.
Without formal legal systems like courts or jails, the Donner Party had to decide Reed's fate. The group held a vote, and while some members called for Reed to be hanged, the majority chose to banish him from the party.
Exile.
Reed departed alone, leaving his family behind, though he would later reunite with them after the arduous journey to California.
He was British or something?
The hardships...
Stabby?
What?
Stabby? So was he British? Just like...
He was British, totally. Yeah, no, he was Stabby, so he's British, totally.
Faced by the Donner Party continued. 2 days after the incident with Snyder, a 70-year-old man became too weak to carry on and was left behind, unable to continue. As the situation grew more desperate, instances of cannibalism emerged, mostly involving the deceased settlers. However, in one tragic event, William Foster, a member of the party, shot 2 Native Americans who had joined the group. Foster and others then used their remains for sustenance. These grim choices reflected the dire circumstances and the extreme measures taken by the survivors as they struggled to
stay alive. But let's get into when we get into.
To be honest, I'm pretty
Story
sure at that point in
The
time,
Donner Party is one of the darkest chapters.
that point in time, I'm pretty sure they didn't even consider that cannibalism.
Yeah.
Because they were not the same as white folk. Motherfuckers.
They're not human. Yeah, no, I know, totally.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into Trapped in the Mountains. Let's get into
Chapter
that.
3, Trapped in the Mountains. On October 28th, 1846, the Donner Party was within sight of their destination, with only about 100 miles left to traverse. But their progress was abruptly
So this is when we're getting into the freezing.
halted by a brutal blizzard. The storm struck with ferocious intensity, dumping several feet of snow and completely blocking the mountain pass they needed to cross. Trapped in the Sierra Nevadas frozen wilderness, the party had no choice but to retreat to the area now known as Truckee Lake. Their situation quickly deteriorated as the snow continued to pile up, creating a treacherous environment that made travel impossible. The group hastily set up makeshift shelters, tents, and ramshackle cabins, hoping to weather the winter in these inadequate structures. The conditions were grim. With most of their supplies and livestock lost along the arduous trail, food became increasingly scarce. The harsh winter conditions compounded their dire situation. Hunting was impossible. As the days passed, starvation began to take its toll. Children cried from hunger. Adults grew weak and frail. The bitter cold seeped into their bones, and frostbite and illness became a constant threat. The dwindling food reserves and lack of proper shelter meant that the first members of the party started to die from starvation and exposure. The once hopeful pioneers now faced the brutal reality of their predicament, caught in a deadly struggle for survival against the harsh elements of the Sierra Nevada winter.
And we'll see what the way they put it. But they did bury most of the dead first, and then they were like, we might need a human turkey. Yeah, we might need to eat that, unfortunately, because there's no wild animals around, and they were not trained to be survivalists.
But also like if you're there, like hunting costs a lot of energy. So of course you're not gonna go out hunting because that will divert you from your path. And deplete your energy even more.
Sure, and this is just a bunch of people that are not wildernessists. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know anything about how to survive outside of being in a town, a city, So how can they figure out how to trap?
I do think most people in those days would fare much better than most people these days.
Yeah, no, of course.
I agree. I think people these days will just fucking. Kids these days got it lucky.
Yeah, totally. But think about this once again. If you're not from a place where you know how to trap, if you know how to track, if you don't know those things, you're screwed. But now people nowadays would be completely screwed. Obviously. But let's crack on.
Chapter 4, Desperation in December. By mid-December, the Donner Party was facing the harsh reality that help might not come in time. More than half of the party were children, including 6 infants, which made their situation all the more dire. Starvation gnawed at their bodies, and morale plummeted as hope began to fade. On December 16th, 1846, desperation drove the Donner Party to make a critical decision. They divided their group, sending 17 of their strongest members to seek help. These individuals, known as the Forlorn Hope, fashioned makeshift snowshoes and set out into the treacherous mountains. Their journey was marked by severe deprivation, and after several days of wandering without food, they were on the brink of collapse. Faced with no other option for survival, they resorted to cannibalism. Weak and delirious, they began to consume the bodies of their fallen companions. Among this group were 2 Native American guides, Salvador and Luis, who had joined the group shortly before the snowfall. When the discussions of cannibalism began, the 2 men, horrified, attempted to flee. But days later, starving and lost, They were found by William Foster, a member of the Forlorn Hope. In a moment of desperation, Foster shot and killed both men, and their bodies were consumed by the party. The group was eventually reduced to 7 survivors. Their bodies were ravaged by hunger and the cold, but they managed to stumble upon a Native American village where they were given food and
That seems kind of sus. That the Native Americans, blah, 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 and then we found them and then killed them to make, of course. Anyways, crack on.
Well, they were going to kill them anyway.
They would later reach.
No, they did, but they were like, oh no, they fled us. And, and it sounds like a story. They were just telling to make it so it seemed okay to kill the native people,
Ranch in California, where they were able to organize the rescue for the rest of the Donner Party. Back at Truckee Lake, the situation remained dire. The remaining survivors, who were still waiting there, were forced to slaughter their animals for food. When even the dogs were gone, they gnawed on bones, tree bark, and animal hides.
So they ate the dogs, they ate the horses, I think.
They ate the dogs, they ate the cats.
Appropriate.
Well, hopefully the only pussy they were eating out there was their wife or girlfriends or mistresses' vaginas.
Speaking of that cunt, what I heard the other day, like he's been using music for his rallies and shit, right? And like people are copyright claiming him for that.
Oh yeah, they've been doing that.
Now he stopped using American shit. Now he used from a Dutch guy. So it's getting
Jesus.
And they're like, we didn't give permission for that shit. Holy shit. He's a dumb fuck.
Hive. Yes, exactly. He is. All right, so let's crack on with this.
Eventually, they too resorted to cannibalism, consuming the frozen bodies of those who had perished.
But anyways.
Chapter 5, The Rescue. By February 1847, after 5 grueling months trapped in the mountains, rescuers finally reached the stranded emigrants. Though they had known the party's location for some time, the deep snowdrifts had prevented earlier attempts. The first rescuers brought only limited supplies, and most of the remaining members of the Donner Party were too weak to travel. Over the next 2.5 months, additional relief teams struggled to evacuate the survivors. Despite their efforts, several of the original emigrants died on the way out of the mountains. In March 1847, rescuer John Stark, along with 2 others, discovered 11 survivors, mostly children, who had been abandoned by an earlier relief group. Stark refused to leave anyone behind.
At least they got the children out of there.
He carried 2 children.
Once again, this is one of the reasons why we're like okay with doing this, is because like a lot of kids got saved
at a time down the mountain, making multiple trips to ensure that all 9 children were brought to safety.
I know, but a lot of children survived from this.
His heroic efforts provided a glimmer of hope in the midst of a devastating tragedy. By April 1847, the last person rescued was Louis Keseberg. When rescuers found him, he was in a terrible state, surrounded by the remains of his former companions. He was accused of cannibalism and murder, but there was no concrete proof of these accusations. Though the survivors were finally rescued, the horrors of their ordeal left deep scars.
Slim?
He's like, hey, did you find my teeth mark in that guy's hip bone?
No,
that was a good hip bone. Anyways, what?
America has only one state in which cannibalism is illegal.
Is that actually still true? I don't know 100% about
that. Yes.
Okay.
I've came across that a couple of days ago. Well, by now a couple of weeks ago, I'd guess, but
because every time I eat somebody out, I'm kind of scared. I'm like, damn it, am I going to get arrested for this? Why would you? It's brainless. What are you talking about?
Somebody mentioned it. I was like, what? And then I do sometimes do a fact check myself,
I know some of the religious states in the Bible Belt, you can marry your 11-year-old first cousin if you want to. With
the Bible.
With their parents.
In the Americas, we can't go completely. Anyways.
In America, they got to be 12.
Yeah, and it has to be your cousin. anyways, no, I'm just kidding. Let's crack on. Did that explain to where we got to the end, or do we need to go in further?
Well, I think we've got it now. I actually thought it was like a Coachella or something. It was a party. I didn't know it was a party of people who hate each other. Now I know what the party is.
I think I have heard the song of the story at some point, but
all of the Americans that are here. Oh yeah, we're gonna go over the Wendigo for in the next couple days. So tomorrow is Satan and Devils. Is that what it is? And then we're not going to be doing. Yeah, we're not going to be doing a drunk news report. We're going to be doing a well, you're going to love it way more. We're going to be doing a pre-Halloween stream. So we're going to talk about history of, well, it's called Gate Night. And we're talking about all the
Gate Night? That sounds fun.
Gate Night is a thing in the Midwest, and we'll talk about what that is. And then there's Devil's Night and a couple other nights. That is the pre-Halloween night. And then we'll talk about on Thursday, All Hallows Eve. We're gonna do All Hallows Eve, but we'll be like watching spooky things, ways to decorate pumpkins, for you to make cute little pumpkin-y thingies for the season, blah blah blah. We're gonna go over all kinds of stuff and the history of Hallows Eve and all the other things and which cultures did what things that make it the culmination of what we celebrate today and stuff and things for the next couple days, because this is our season. Freaks.
Yeah,
definitely. So we will go over all that stuff and like people that set up their Halloween decorations and other things. We've got a lot of substance we're going to go over in the next couple of days. So thank you all very much for being here. We're going to get the fuck out of here. Please subscribe if you're not. Double check to make sure you're subscribed and that your bell notification is on. Please like the stream and share this and or watch this later afterward. And we thank you all very much for being here, and we'll see you all next bat time, next bat, and the same bat channel, same bat time. All right, everybody say bye, and we're the fuck out of here.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, weirdos.